Hi, I'm Paul Kyogan from GK Tuition, and in this video I want to talk to you about probability. So the question I've chosen to go through here is 2016 paper 2 question 5. In A part 1 of this question, we're told that John, David and Mike are on a team trying to win an archery competition. And in order to win this archery competition, at least 2 out of 3 of them have to hit the bullseye. So we have to fill in the 4 different ways in which this could happen. So the first scenario has been filled in for us where John and David hit the bullseye but Mike misses. So now we can fill in the other ones. So another way that could happen is that John and Mike could score and David could miss. David and Mike could score and John could miss, or else all 3 of them could score. So the first set of values, A part 1, is for just filling in the 4 different ways. Obviously it doesn't matter what order you put them in. I could have mixed 2, 3 and 4 up. I could have had them in a different order. Now part 2 of this question says, find the probability that this happens. In other words, find the probability that John, David and Mike win the competition. So I need to find the probability that way 1 will happen, or way 2, or way 3, or way 4. So to work out what's the probability of each of them, and then how do I work out the chances that any of them could happen. So the key to this question is, I always tell you in class, in probability, or means add, and means multiply. So with that in mind, let's work our way through this question. In scenario 1, the chances that John scores is 1/5. Okay? The chances that David scores is 1/6. And the chances that Mike scores is 1/4. So that means the chances he doesn't score is 3/4. So in way 1, I want John to score, and David to score, and Mike to miss. This, and this, and this, which means I'm going to multiply them by each other. So that tells me the probability that way 1 happens. Then to work out for way 2, I want John to score, so the chances of that are 1/5. I want David to miss, so the chances of that are 5/6. And I want Mike to score, and the chances of that are 1/4. So I want 1/5 and 5/6 and 1/4 to happen. So that's the probability that way 2 is going to happen. Now I want to work out what's the probability that way 1 or way 2 happens. So in probability, or means we add, which means I'm going to add these 2 together. And now I just need to find the other 2 and add them as well. So for way 3, in way 3, so I'm going to add this one. In way 3, I want John to miss. The probability John misses is 4/5. And I want David to score. The chances of that are 1/6. And I want Mike to score. The chances of that are 1/4. So I want this and this and this to happen. So I multiply them by each other. Then I want way 3 or way 2 or way 1 to happen. So I'm going to add all of those together. And then clearly the last scenario is I've got one more way. So I'm going to put that down here. So to work out the probability that way 4 will happen, it's the probability that John scores, and David scores, and Mike scores. So I've worked out the 4 different ways that they could win this competition, and I want to work out the probability that any one of these could happen. So this, or this, or this, or this, which means I'm going to add them. I'm adding up my 4 different possibilities. So from that point, you can actually just plug all of that into your calculator. And if you do that, your final answer in this case, the probability that one of these scenarios occurs is 13/120. Again, for your probability, just always make sure your fraction is in its simplest form. So that's part A of this question. I hope it made sense. If there's anything you're unsure of, then just let me know in class or send me an email and I'll try and clarify it.